All right, Dame Dash, how's it going?
Everything's everything. How's it going with you?
It's going good, man. I'm glad to have you on my show, man. You did a lot of historical stuff in hip hop ever since Rocafella, man. And I just want to say it's dope to have you on my show.
Appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that. Good to be here.
For sure, man. Well, I thought we would just start off with, the biggest news you had coming out, man, is the selling of Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt album that recently just happened. What's your general thoughts on how everything turned out with that situation?
Well, for me, that's definitely not the biggest thing that's happening. The biggest thing, pause, is that Honor Up is coming on BET. They're gonna show it on BET this Saturday, September 7th at 9 o'clock, and also that I'm approaching 100,000 or at 99,000. I'm waiting for the numbers now on my television network, America New. But I guess as it relates to that whole situation, for me, I was having issues with getting paid. I hadn't seen any money from Reasonable Doubt in like 15 years. And, I wasn't really pressing the issue, but it was like at a certain point, I know there's money there, and I felt like if I wasn't receiving it, somebody should. And, when I initially tried to sell it at auction years ago, I was stopped. There was a lawsuit brought against me by Rocafella with Jay-Z saying that he was the CEO of Rocafella. And, the Roc Nation lawyers started to represent Rocafella on behalf of, I guess that team. And they accused me of trying to sell the whole album on the blockchain. And I was only selling my own rights, which I had every right to do. And, when they did that, it muddied the waters to where no one wanted to buy it because they knew it was toxic, that it would come with a lawsuit. And also, during the time we were having the lawsuit, I couldn't sell it. And at that time, they, did something that I considered illegal, but they changed bylaws to say that I couldn't sell it unless everyone agreed to it. I still don't understand it to this day. And then, of course, if I were to put it on the blockchain, you can't take it off the blockchain. It would be on the blockchain. I never did that. It was just a false accusation, and that really had me aggravated, just morally. And in order for me to straighten all that out, it would have been lawsuit after lawsuit. I would have had to been upset. I was already tight because, it may have messed up a big sale in the NFT world if people would have actually showed up. But at the end of the day, it would have cost me too much money to be paying lawyers to chase money I was never getting. And the money I wasn't getting wasn't actually a lot of money. And also to have to hear everybody's mouth, have to relive all this bullshit when I'm trying to move forward and do everything new. So, I had a lawsuit, a defamation lawsuit with people that I consider liars. They said they directed a movie that I directed, and then when I spoke about it on social media, I said some things that I guess, I had to be accountable for, and they got a judgment. The same lawyer has taken me to court with at least 5 different people. I've been to 4 trials. I'm about to go through another one. And to me, collectively, with all the lawsuits that have been brought against me for defamation, it all added up to under $1 million. And I was like, yo, if y'all want to get that money, go over there and y'all do the work. And they did the work. But they did all this work. And at the end of the day, I already knew I owed taxes and that they would show up. So I'm like, hey, you better make sure it's going to be able to cover the tax. And the state showed up. And the state became, it was like child support, and then the state gets paid. And then the person that brought the lawsuits So that lawyer went on with the auction, and nobody showed up. So the state did what's called the credit buy. They bought it with the credit. So now instead of having me as a partner, they have the state, unless they probably buy it from the state. But I don't know that that's going to cover everything. But at the end of the day, the person that brought the lawsuit and the auction and paid for all that in the first place, they didn't make $1. So I don't know why they did it, but it did get my child support paid, and future earnings, some will go to my kids' colleges. So I looked at it like at least I could get some money out of it, or at least my kids will get some money out of it. But at the end of the day, I was like, really, it felt like nobody cared about it. I think that it's been perceived to be more valuable than, or it's perceived to be more valuable than it actually is. You know, based on the numbers, it doesn't make economic sense to buy it at a certain price. It only made sense to buy it if you looked at it as art. But I don't think anybody really looked at it as art enough to spend that kind of money on it. So it was a confusing situation for me, but I'm glad it's in my rear view and that I can focus on everything new.
Why weren't you getting any money from it? Were they not allowing anything to be sampled or anything from it? Or like...
Not sampled. I wasn't getting no checks. Yeah, I wasn't getting my distributions. I don't know why they didn't want me to sell it. I just didn't understand it, why they devalued it. You know, it made it a little rougher when, you know, their lawyer puts out a statement saying that, you know, Jay will be getting his rights back in 6 months. Now, again, I don't own it no more, so I don't care, but that, to me, was not the truth. But the state started to investigate. And the reason why, like when I was offered $1.5 million to you try to buy it from me, I didn't take it because I couldn't get a proper accounting. So in this moment, it ain't for me. I'm not trying to figure them out no more. I'm out of there. There's too many gray areas over there, bro. And my life is a lot easier without having to have, like, feeling like somebody's robbing me, or why they're not paying me, or why it says S. Carter instead of Rocafella, why they're using, you know, Roc Nation lawyers to represent Rocafella and charging all the fees to Rocafella Inc. I don't want to get involved in any of that, bro. I just really wanted to get away, and I've been trying to get away for the last 20 years. And at the temperature, the way the world is starting to roll out, I think it's justified that I wanted not to be around certain things and morals and principles. And I think I made the right decision.
Now, you said Drake reached out to you at one point?
Yeah, he DM'd me. And he's like, how much? I said, $6 million. He said, I got it. Let's work it out. And then he just went missing. I don't know what the purpose of that was. I'm curious myself. For me, I always think, because a lot of people would reach out and then they would disappear, and I just always think there was some monkey business pause happening behind the scenes. But again, I don't feel like dealing with all of that. Like, it's too weird for me. It's not, I'm a regular dude. I don't want to be involved in any of this weird shit, any of these conspiracies, any of these gray areas. I just rather just be creative and do it on my own and pay for it myself. Freedom is priceless to me, and I won't compromise any of my integrity or any of my moral fabric to get someplace faster, and especially for somebody else, another culture, or for someone that's not creative or that doesn't care about a creative. I'm not going to ever help exploit a creative. I don't care how much money is on the table, and I've never done that. My record and my algorithm is to teach the artist that I work with to be able to move around as a brand and as a boss without me, so that I can go do my own thing.
Some of the other news going on, man, is 50 Cent was on a podcast, and he had a couple things. Well, he had a thing to say about you, man. You know, he kind of mentioned that, you know, when he got his $1 million deal, that you mentioned that was no money. But I also kind of looked into it and seen that, you know, you guys have said a few things about each other in the recent history, man. Is there, you know, what was your thoughts on that when he said that?
I was just happy he said my name, and I was able to leverage that. I felt like he was throwing me an alley-oop. You know, 50's a thinking man, pause, the way it looks. And when someone that has that kind of exposure says your name, if you don't leverage it and you let your emotions get involved, you know, it's not the most masculine thing. So when he said my name, I offered him a competition. You know, even my fronts dropped out. You know, gave him some jokes, and he had jokes. And at the end of the day, he gave me a shout out. He was the first person to actually say America Knew on his platform. So in this moment, I have nothing but respect, and I appreciate the alley-oop, you know. But jokes are jokes. I'm a funny guy. He's a funny guy. As long as we don't get too personal or violate, I don't have no problem with it. That be the problem is usually people start joking with me. I'm not saying him, but my jokes be kind of funny, and I'm loud, and I like it. And your jokes don't bother me. So it usually makes people upset. And then they end up making it like I'm the bully, but you really started with me. So if you notice, I never say anyone's name unless they say mine. But if you do say mine, I'm going to leverage that to bring awareness to my independent businesses, because it's priceless for people to say your name and not have to pay for it. That's priceless to not have to be around weirdos to be seen. It's priceless to be creative as you want, work with who you want, and monetize it fairly. It's priceless. Freedom is priceless, and love. And I think that's what people need to understand. Everybody's hustling for perception and a man-made dollar. I'm not hustling for that. I'm hustling for God's love. I'm hustling so that my family could be free and that I can stay weirdo free. So I can control my environment. And I've been doing it. And everything I've been saying has realized itself in 10 times and tenfold. So anybody questioning what I do or how I do it, I just think at that point, it would be insanity to continue to question my judgment, and I'm always right 10 years ahead of time.
Yeah, man. I hear that, man. It's
Now you have to understand, I was able to get to pop culture, but I needed the help of people that I consider weirdos. I used other people's money. So the challenge for me was I made Paid in Full with the Weinsteins. Can I make my own Paid in Full with my own money? Can I write, direct it, produce it, and do everything they did? Of course I can. And I did. So that's honor up, full circle. I did it myself. I got a new album coming out with Freeway, a rock album with me on it. And that's the replacement for Rocafella. I now have Blue Rock, but it's completely independent. I needed to know I could do it on my own. And I didn't have a television network back then, but I do now. And now I'm stimulating another vertical, my clothing. So instead of rockwear, I have CEO, which I'm wearing now, a collaboration I did with Afroletics, Anunnaki CEO. So that is stimulated independently without them. So my goal is to have my conglomerate weirdo free, fully owned by my family with no debt. And I know that people don't understand this language, but, you know, if I ever do sell, it'll be based on a multiple of with EBITDA, of the EBITDA, and I won't have to pay no debt. My family will be able to walk away with all that bread. And that's what I'm hustling for. To be able to make money in anything that inspires me, in every dimension and vertical my way. And I'm willing to put my money paws where my mouth is and do it in front of everybody. But I do think it's corny, and I do think it's feminine for men to be worried about another man's pocket. I think that's crazy. I've never even heard of that. That's bananas.
Okay, now, you mentioned, doing it all on your own. I mean, how hard has that been, to do? And, a lot of people, a lot of people still partner with other people. You seem like you don't want any partners.
I'm not saying you do it alone. It's doing it with your own money. But I have partners, but it's equal. I'm not like getting paid in advance and licensed and been giving my master to somebody and been getting points, licensing back my own art. I definitely I'm Honor Up is going to be on BET. That's 70 million homes. I can't do that on my own unless I acquire another network for their balance sheet and their footprint. And that's been difficult. So you do need partners, but that's it. One thing is partners. One thing is somebody give you the money and you work for them. One thing is someone loan you the money, but they have 10 turns on the debt, so you can never get in front of it. Business is different. There's different ways to approach it. the traditional way is we look like we have more than we do. We give a middleman our culture, and they give it back to us, and we end up not owning it, and our families have to start all over again. So I'm first generation. My daughter and my kids should not have to go through the same things I went through, and neither should theirs. I'm hustling this hard so that my grandchildren don't have to work. Not for me. The things I'm doing, I love. So, of course, when you say difficult, if you have no motion, pause, then yeah, shit is difficult. If you're not inspired, if you're not good at anything, I just happen to be good at designing, directing. I could jump on a stage with a band, and I have good ears for music, and I could be articulate. I have curriculums. I'm just good at all those things. So everything I'm good at that I love, I turn that into something I can monetize so it never feels like work. So the work part's not hard. The problem is when you dream so big that the money comes in, can't cover everything you want to do. And then when you get the money, you got to put it back in, pause, but you don't have any room for growth. But, this is boss thoughts. This is general thoughts. You got to want this life. And I love it. I don't know it any other way.
I hear you. I own my own stuff. It's rough. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of extra work.
What do you think is rougher? Waiting a table and working for tips on Christmas, or worrying about a bill because it's late? Because of these, the way traditionally they make you worry about your credit. None of that shit matters. You got cash, you all right. You can get out of anything, and, as long as you don't go more than 3 or 4 months, you good. You just got to get back at it. You have to visualize what you want. But what people call rough, worry is not rough. It's not a physical thing. To be concerned takes no physical work, but it drains you. So the thing is, how tough is it not to worry about nothing? That shit is easy to me. Because I can't even visualize anything but a W. And I love the fight it takes to get there because it means I'm learning. No losses, learning experiences.
Well, I wanted to get your thoughts on some of the current stuff going on in hip hop, man. Lil Durk has recently been arrested for murder for hire, man. And, this kind of, there's been some really wild news in hip hop lately. And, what was your thoughts on that? And, what was your reaction when you first seen that?
Well, I was hearing about it for a while, but I hated it. I hate that it's the new normal for a hip-hop artist to do a bid. And there should be bids for murders. But also, because of the way I see a lot of these cases starting to fall apart, it doesn't mean it's over. You don't really know what they got. It's one thing to make an accusation. It's another thing to get in front of a judge and a jury and really prove it. So I don't know what's going on. I'm not involved in that scenario, but I just hate that the new normal is for an artist to get killed or go to jail. It was like a wave for the last 2 years where an artist seemed to be getting killed every month. Now it seems like an artist is getting cooked or picked up by the feds every month. So it just seems like the music business is starting to be affiliated with going to jail or dying, and that was never the purpose of the music business, at least not in my generation. The purpose was to get out the game, stay out the game, so you don't have to do none of that shit. So if it was true, I just wish someone would have gave him better guidance, but he just seemed smart. But, again, these kids, these younger generation, shit is real. That's what it made me think, like these games are serious. The things he's accused of is some television shit, movie shit. These motherfuckers is real, either supervillains or superheroes. But I'm not built like that. I'm not cut from that cloth. Once you get in front of a camera, once you start being on records, anything on record, you can't do anything criminal. But I feel like that's the obvious. I guess dopamine is the illest drug ever existed.
I kind of feel like the artists nowadays, they get on and they turn up. Versus back in the day, they'd get on and they would kind of get out of the streets.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet Lil Durk?
Yeah. What do you mean? Lil Durk is in the movie that I got the case for. Lil Durk's in that movie. I'm in Lil Durk's first couple of videos. Lil Durk is in a video with my 8-year-old. Well, she's 16 now. But Lil Durk is in a video with my daughter Tallulah doing Tallulah's song called Tallulah Time. I'll send you the video. I'm actually in a Lil Durk video. Like he came to my crib, I because I was shooting, in my crib. And before that, I did a video for him, and he told me that, or with him, or I was in his video, and he was telling me that he wanted to do movies. I'm like, I'm shooting one next week. So he pulled up, and he was very respectful and intelligent, and his crew seemed like they had their shit together. And I watched him evolve. When I found out he was down with Todd Moskowitz, I was like, I hope it all works out for him. And, it just seems the algorithm is when certain people get with certain artists, the feds come with that. The artist going to jail comes with that. It just seems like a pattern. And again, I'm a thinking man. I'm a logical man. And objectively, I'm like, yo, it just seems sometimes like the music business is almost like they the feds. They just jamming you up. Because I can't see how you have an artist and you see them saying and talking about things they may be doing illegally and you're not stopping them. You telling them to do it because you got an insurance policy on them. So whether you die or go to jail, you actually make more money if the artist dies or goes to jail with these insurance policies. So this is the reason why I just want to lead by example.
The past year, 5, 6, 7 years or something, man, there's been a lot of death in hip hop and a lot of guys going to jail. It's been kind of crazy.
And a lot of people are dying from natural, not from being sick, from not eating correct, from putting all kind of terrible food in your body that gives you cancer and diabetes. Like I'm also losing friends that got through all the gangster shit, and then they dying from a cheeseburger. So health is very important as well, and these are the priorities I think we should be focused on. The things that give us longevity in our life and that we can live happily. Because you can have all the money in the world, but if you sick, wheezing in the bed or in jail, no freedom, you broke. If you miserable, you broke. Paper money means nothing. That's not wealth. That's a farce. That's the devil.
I hear you, man. That's real talk. Some of the other big headlines. Diddy. Diddy is in a world of trouble, man. He's been arrested. He had the whole lawsuit with Cassie that looked really bad. She accused him of a lot of horrible things, and including rape. And we seen the video of Diddy beating her up in the hotel. I know you know what I'm saying. You knew Diddy. You guys have known each other for a long time, and been around each other. What's your thoughts on that? And what was it like when you first started hearing all this news?
It was I like everybody else. I couldn't believe that it was that extreme. So I've always known him to be turned up, but I didn't know he was that turned up. So, it wasn't a good look. It made me reevaluate. The things that he's been accused of has made me reevaluate every single second I've been in the business. Because the things he's being accused of is like, people putting stuff in people's drinks and, putting shit in baby oil and motherfuckers is catching pneumonia. And it just makes me think about every time someone tried to make me take a drink when I didn't want to, who hangs out with who. And, it just makes me say I don't want any parts of that business in general because it's just too many gray areas. Either you have to tolerate or you have to be a part of or tolerant. And I don't have any tolerance, zero tolerance for weirdo shit. And no disrespect to anybody gay. Because that was what was shocking to me. I was like, damn, I didn't know everybody was that loose. Pause. But I'm heterosexual. I love women a lot.
Are you surprised about all the other names that they're trying to associate with this, with Diddy? Like there's a lot of people he came up with that they're trying to involve with this also.
Well, I could just say anybody to me, from the outside looking in objectively, if I see a person that's with someone consistently all the time, sleeping over their crib, I would think that they would be privy to the things that were going on. So if those things were actually happening and they were privy to them, if you was in pictures with that person a lot and you were with them a lot, I think it's natural for someone to have you guilty by association until further notice. So unless somebody's going to debunk, I was only there because of this or that, I know when I was at You know, I never went to a Diddy party. I never knew him as Diddy. I was at Puff's party 20 years ago with Aaliyah, and Jennifer Lopez was there, and, you know, Natani, and I left. You know, that was the Puff party. But, you know, for the shit they saying, I wasn't privy to that, and had I been, I probably would have told everybody. Like, I'd have been like, them niggas is crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it would have blew my mind. So that's not a secret I would have been able to keep. But for those that can keep those secrets, it makes you a bit questionable, and I think that's just normal. You can't be mad at somebody for being normal.
Is there something that happened that made you stop partying with Diddy, or you just never really hung out with him like that? I never was
partying with Diddy. Rocafella and Bad Boy were two distinctly different movements. So they were more R&B. We looked at them paws as like barefoot niggas and shit. So we had no parts of that. We were like dudes. So when we were on the Puff's tour, you know, we wore bulletproof vests. You know, we teased people for wearing shiny suits. It was just it was like the difference between Stax Records and Motown, and us being more Stax Records. So we just, our worlds didn't really collide. And I'm not gonna say like I look down at them. It's just I'm not that guy. I wasn't like a S-Curl so much, you know, dancing and singing. We were rapping and shit. We was hustling. So it was just a different vibe. But yeah, when he threw parties, people would show up. But I think after I didn't have to go outside anymore, after I felt that everyone that was outside was just pause hummer stunting, and that it was better to just handle business a different way, I stopped going out altogether unless the events were for me. And that's why I opened up art galleries around the world and started focus on aggregating creative people and documenting them. And the receipts are all on my network, America New.
How do you feel about everybody trying to put Jay-Z in this mix with Diddy? I've just seen so many videos, and it just seems like so many people are trying their hardest to associate Jay-Z with this Diddy situation. But I don't really see any evidence of it myself.
I don't care about Jay-Z.
Okay.
I sold Reasonable Doubt, so I get no fucks given. That's that man. Whatever's going on with him is on him. I just can't spend so much time worried about another man and what they doing and how they feel and how people perceive them. You know, I got my own shit to be worried about. I got to get this money. I'm independent. You know, that whole situation, those people are in my rear view. Pause. So I don't care.
Okay.
On a human level, if the shit is true, you know, I'm curious to know how true it is. But, you know, based on my experiences and the fact that I wanted to get away, I personally made the decision to get away from that camp. So, you know, that was my personal experiences. I didn't want to be over there. Things weren't, you know what I mean? Like morally, we weren't, it's just not the same fabric. So that's why I went and did my thing. I'm not as tolerant as certain things.
Is there anything in particular that you can remember that was like kind of like the final straw for you?
Yeah, when Jay did a project with R. Kelly, knowing that he had raped Aaliyah. How much more of that? You know what I'm saying? What more would you need? So your supposed best friend, partner, does a project with someone that he knows raped your partner's girl when she was a child, and you still say that had nothing to do with me, I'm gonna still get money with him. You know, that one was a wake up call for real, for sure. And I don't think anyone that's human, if anyone could look the other way from that, they're a sucker. That a man should stop calling themselves a man if they can hang out with a dude that will work with someone that raped the person they love. And yeah, I was told by Aaliyah, do not shake, ruffle no feathers, because it's going to bring more awareness to it, and she wanted to move on. So she said, yo, you could be around, but I wouldn't be around the projects, but that record they did together, you know, you could be in the video, actually be in the video, because I wasn't going to go. She told me to go be in the video. She said, just don't be in no scenes or take no pictures with him. And I did that. I respected that.
Man, that must have been really, really hard for you. I can't even imagine how tough something like that would be.
Well, you know, it wasn't like I was crying about it, and it just made me look at someone that I a different way, and I knew that there wasn't too much more of a future moving forward. You know, I just realized that again, our moral fabric was different. That's all.
Were you surprised when R. Kelly finally was arrested? I mean, because he had been getting away with all types of stuff for like a really long time.
I mean, I think at a certain level you get like a 30-year run, and after 30, it's like almost like the devil comes and says, "I'm gonna give you 30 years to do what you want," but then it turns out bad. So I was surprised it took so long for something to happen, just based on what I was hearing. I was surprised it took so long for people. Like, it was crazy to me that the only time people say they're not fucking with somebody is when they get busted. But if they know it, they still fucking with them. They just don't fuck with them when it's not in style anymore. So that was more my thing. I was like, y'all know what this, you know, when people were still fucking with it. And I was just like, you know, I felt sorry for humans overall, because it was like, where's the humanity? You know, where's the like personal respect for yourself and morals? Like, you just do what everybody does, and it's still like that. So, like, again, you know, with most of the people that are jammed up right now, people knew it. They just didn't say nothing until everybody else did. See, that's where I get somewhat ostracized, because I say things and call people out before it's fashionable. I call it out as soon as I see it. So you gotta remember, pause, I was beefing with the Weinstein, and damn near everybody else that I don't fuck with, it turns out that there was a reason for it that was justified. It's just everybody else was scared to say something.
Man, that's crazy, man.
You know, when you're a futuristic thinker, you could see good things that are gonna happen, and you can see bad things that are gonna happen. It's just using logic. 1 + 1 = 2. You know, illegal stuff for a certain amount of time equals at some point you're going to get jammed up. You know, it's just sometimes it bugs me out how long it be taking. But there's a lot of things that are going on in this world today that I'm like, I can't believe it hasn't, you know, when are these motherfuckers going to get their skirt pulled, you know what I mean? Like, when are people going to be able to see the real logic behind the evil that everyone worships? Is unconsciously worshiping someone that's evil devil worship? I think it is, whether you're conscious of it or not. The devil's never going to tell you they're the devil. They're going to come and make you think they're God, and then you're going to worship them. That's why I'm really particular about the way I move on holidays, because I don't know really what the fucking holiday means, because the person that told me about it conquered everybody. Can't trust the conqueror. They're going to tell you what they want you to know and what's going to impress the people they're trying to control.
Yeah, I hear you, man. There's definitely a lot of people out there that it seems like, you know, things haven't caught up with them yet, man. That's a fact.
Again, the people that you like, I can't believe they're getting away with that. At some point, that runs out. It's not soon enough. But, you know, karma takes its time.
It does, man. It sometimes takes a while, but when it hits them hard, and you know, it's usually over for him. Like R. Kelly. I mean, he's done. You know, he never get Weinstein. Done. You know, it caught up to him. I wanted to ask you about Memphis Bleek, man. He was on Drink Champs. And, you know, he kind of mentioned, you know, you guys had a blowout or an argument at a Change Clothes video.
I was always yelling at Bleek. He's always like the younger little brother, but I don't remember. Go ahead. Like, there's no blowout to have with Paul's Memphis Bleek. He was like Jay's little dude.
How did you feel when you seen his Drink Champs clip, or did you see it?
From a long time ago, you talking about?
Or maybe I'm just seeing it. I thought I just seen just a recent one.
Yeah, I addressed it. It was like a year ago or 2 years ago, because I was like, I didn't know, like, Bleek wasn't the type of person that could make, you know, to talk to me like that. or to give me any advice at all. He's never been that guy. I mean, I love Bleek. He's like a little brother, but that's all he kind of ever was. You know, the last thing I heard him say was he was talking about how sorry he was feeling for me and, you know, what a shame it was. And I was like, you know, it's just funny that everybody out of that camp keeps trying to say that same narrative, but like in the same sentence, if you want to help somebody, then send some money over. Or, you know, talk about my television network. But, you know, I think he had questioned my hustle, and I'm like, I got, you know, like all the things I'm doing, it just seems like, you know, again, I said it on my show, you know, Jay used to write Bleek's records, his rhymes, and it just felt like, you know, they were writing a narrative because everyone seems to be saying the same thing, and it doesn't make sense, you know? So, and then also he always uses Nori's platform to say certain things. But it doesn't, I don't care, it's Bleek. You know what I mean? I found sometimes I find the things he says amusing. You know, it's hard to unsee Bleek as the last time I was around him. He was always like a little dude that I had to argue with. And I'd be like, yo, if you don't do things on your own a certain way, you're going to end up being up under a man your whole life. And it seems like that was what's happened with him. And a lot of what his interviews are talking about, like, making a career. Like, I don't have a career in talking about homie. I was tight because they were suing me over some bullshit and fucking my money up, you know? But it's clickbait for everybody. And, you know, but, like, I don't make a career from talking about nobody. I don't want to be up under no man my whole life. Pause. To me, that's just feminine. Not saying he is, but my perspective on running behind another man your whole life, like, how could you do that in front of your girl? Like, she got to be sick of hearing another man's name. Or you have to move when a man say move, or you have to worry about his temperament that day before you ask him a question. And people wonder why some, you know, certain, you know, I don't want to hear about another man all day. I want to hear about me. You know what I mean? That's just the ego and the man and the testosterone in me. I need to be number one. And to me, any man that doesn't want to be number one isn't a man. That's why we have testosterone, to fight for that.
I would like to take it back a little bit, man. And I don't know if maybe you've covered this, but, you know, I'd kind of just like to get to know Dame from a child. You know, from a kid growing up in Harlem, and, you know, where do you get this, you know, boss mentality, man, you know, where does all that come from?
Well, it's funny you asked that because I've been writing Honor Up, the television series, and just yesterday, the episode is about me and where I got these ideals from. So, you know, I wrote the whole scene out yesterday. But to be honest, my family are very serious people, to the extent that I don't even talk about them so much. So that's one thing and one reason why there's a certain element and a code that I live by, is because that's the only code I know, the only code I saw. And my family never got bullied. My family was always the bullies. But when I hit the street, you know, Lou Sims, he just came home, did like 27 years. And he's like a legend for maybe the wrong reasons. But he did an interview and he was like, they were like, yo, you must have knew Dame Dash. He was like, yeah, you know, I put him in business. You know, me and my man gave him his first pack. And I'm like, damn, that was kind of true. Like, that was the first person that I ever, like, I got in the game. I started there with someone that becomes somewhat of a legend. You know, from there on, like, who could I be scared of? Why would I ever be scared? And then my mother died when I was 15, and that was my worst nightmare. So that made me fearless, because I was like, I don't care if I die, because I'll go back with my moms. But also my mother used to spoil me. So when she died, I was so worried about my money and the way I was going to live. I knew my dad wasn't going to take care of me. It made me a savage, and I just hit the block hard because I just didn't want to compromise my quality of living. And my mother had invested so much in my brain, me being intelligent and smart, I had the hindsight to know when to stop. See, the thing people don't know, especially in the drug game and in the music game, you got to know when to stop. If you got $1 billion in the bank and you live in Colombia, or $1 billion in your stash, you know how far that's going to go. You never have to work again. Just quit. So, you know, I knew in the street, that's why I made Paid in Full. It was like, it's time to quit. This is not sustainable. But also in the music business, I knew when it was time to walk away. This is starting to feel illegal. I'm out of here. This is too weird. I'm gone. So you got to know when to walk away. So, you know, that's where it all comes from. I'm from Harlem. Harlem, we don't give a fuck how much money you got. It's really how you spend your money, the swag and all that comes with it. And everybody has ups and downs. You know, you bet it all every time. You just know you got the ability to flip. So no matter what, no matter if I got a block clicking with my homie and we don't get along, fuck that block. I could get another block to click. That's what I do. You know, it's always having the ability to say, get the fuck out of here. Like when someone tells you what to do, you got to be able to say, get the fuck out of here. I'll do it myself. And that's a Harlem nigga.
What were you like in high school?
A terror. You know, I had a car when I was 16, a Maxima. You know, I was smarter than my teachers. I got kicked out of school, went to boarding school. Like I put myself in boarding school when I was 16 because my homeboys were starting to kill too much. And I was like, it's eventually I'm going to have to do it. So I'm out of here. So I got my own scholarship and went to South Kent for a year. Like I was pulling up. I got kicked out of school, one of my schools, because, you know, I used to park in my principal's parking spot because I felt like, yo, why does she get to have a parking spot and I don't? We the taxpayers, even though I wasn't paying no taxes, and according to everyone, I still don't. But, you know, I got kicked out of school for being this funny guy. You know, just having this hindsight that you're not going to tell me that I'm not better than you. You're not going to tell me you're better than me. And you're not going to tell me to listen to you if you don't have the life that I want.
At this point, were you already thinking about music at all? Like did you ever try to rap or anything? Or what was the music like at that time?
After Paid in Full, I didn't want to hustle no more. And I say after Paid in Full, meaning that situation that happened. So once I saw a little, you know, a younger dude get kidnapped and someone's best friend killed him, I thought they were untouchable. I said, I quit. And, you know, my cousin was you know, his stepfather was in the game, and he was telling me I should pivot that way, and I decided to do that. But it was more a hustle. I wasn't like the music guy, nothing at that time. You know, I always knew how to dance and shit, but I just didn't want to hustle no more. I just wanted to do something that didn't feel like work, but it ended up being a lot more work than I thought.
Did you graduate?
I got my GED, but now I have my doctorate.
That's what's up. Okay. Did you ever work a regular job?
I think maybe once for like 5 minutes.
For like 5 minutes?
Like when I was like 14, yeah. My man Sam had got us a job for a second, and I was like, I couldn't do it.
It wasn't for you. Okay. You get your GED, and what do you do with yourself at this point? Do you automatically go into music, or did you got some other things going on?
Now, I had gotten to music. You know, when I got my GED, I was hustling. So I just came back from boarding school, and that's around Paid in Full was going on. So it was like, and again, when I say it's not the movie, but that period of time, when that situation happened and a couple of other things happened, I just was like, I'm getting in the music business. And that's just what I did. It was like a quick transition.
Okay. Did you already meet Jay and Biggs at this time?
At first, you know, it was Clark Kent. I tell everyone Clark Kent put me on. So I was shopping, you know, I was supposed to be going to see my cousin's stepfather had an intern who was at that point in A&R at Atlantic. So he was supposed to be doing, you know, him a favor. And he was curving me. But I was going like every day, and I saw Clark in the lobby, and we kicked it, and I played the shit for him. And from then, he just took me everywhere, introduced me to everybody, and he's the one that gave us our first record deal. Gave me as a you know, for Original Flavor and the Future Sound. He signed him. It was all him, and he's the one that introduced me to. He like snuck me in the industry, Clark. You know, and then I think, like, you know, there was a time once I got with Jay and I saw the way he was hustling, I had to, you know, pass him plug, introduce him to certain people that are still around him to this day, and you know, to get his prices right and get a better structure. And you know, we was hustling a little bit, and then we just got into the music. You know, we said fuck it. Like with the record deals, we were like, yo, let's just do it ourselves because we had enough of our own bread to do it ourselves. But you got to remember, I got my first record deal when I was 19. I was retired from Rocafella at 33, bro, 34. So you got to think I was really young. Yeah, I was a sight to see, you know. It felt normal because it's the only life I knew. But in hindsight and looking back and, you know, seeing, even having children, I'm like, damn, I was doing a lot at a young age.
What was like the first bit of actual success that you had?
The first record deal I got, that was a success within itself at that age. So signing the Future Sound and then signing Original Flavor, the first, you know, everything was a victory because it was all new. Like everything was like shit that I had been seeing on TV or hearing about. So every time even like now, me being on BET, it's probably not a big deal to anyone else that's in this business. But for me, for what I've been trying to do, it's a victory because it's the first time I've done it in that way, completely on my own. You know, first times for things are like the best times. And I didn't know what was wrong or what was right. I just knew what I was doing was working.
You work with Original Flavor, and how long does that last for?
I mean, you know, Ski, we got dropped. Atlantic dropped them after their second album. And, you know, Ski ended up producing the majority of Reasonable Doubt. And for what I hear, he's not getting his royalties either.
Oh.
And then after that, you know, when I went from Rocafella to opening up art galleries, and I made so many albums with Ski, but with live instruments, with Jay Electronica, Mos Def, Wiz Khalifa. You know, I was able to work with any artist and every artist. You know, I've worked with every single artist I've ever wanted to work with, but I had to do that independently. And I wanted to do it from a cool environment.
At what point do you, Jay, and Biggs decide to form Rocafella?
We had took this trip to St. Thomas, and we had a real conversation. And I don't know exactly the day or time, but it was just after, like, just doing so much shopping of Jay and people telling me, you gotta remember, like, the elite of the music business, every single executive in the business, 100% of them, from Kevin Liles to Russell Simmons to Sylvia Rhone to Ruben Rodriguez, all of them said that Jay was trash. All of them. 100% of them said. And that's why it's funny to me to see how they act these days. But the thing is, they wasn't trying to let us in the door. Because they must have known how good he was. They just didn't want us in control. But that's why I don't trust these people. And we just decided, like, yo, these guys are lames. Like, how could a nerd sit behind a desk and tell us what's good or what's not good? And we just said, fuck it, let's do it ourselves. And, you know, Biggs had some bread. So that's how he came to the table. Pause.
Who thought of the name?
Tone Hooker from Original Flavor. So I was looking for a name. So we had, like, I would have meetings for shit like this. So I had a meeting, like, we need a crew. We got to have a crew. What's our name? And he's like, Rocafella. And I was like, you know, two names. Rocafella, you fuck with us, or Rocafella represents money. I said, I like it. Let's go.
Were you around when Jay battled DMX?
Of course, I set the battle up. Come on, man. That was my battle. He wasn't even supposed to be battling. That was between me and my man Steve Mack from the Best Out. Me and Steve went to school together, and you know, I guess, and then we ended up being in the same crew. And he's loud and funny. He's making a doc about it, and we used to argue because they used to think Jay was so corny. They thought he dressed funny. They just thought he was a cornball. They used to give me hell about Jay. Every single day I had to argue. I had to have Jay battle Big L on 139th Street. But these guys were talking so much. No, what happened was we were at a barbecue on 145th Street, and Steve Mack had his crew, and you know, Original Flavor were there, and they're not the toughest rappers and shit, but you know, Harlem Nights, they were on some street shit, and you know, they wanted to battle. I'm like, I'm not battling on in Harlem. They're not from Harlem. We have to battle on some mutual ground. And you know, Steve thought I was scared or whatever, but then I found a spot. Tone Hooker found his man. He's in a wheelchair. He's still outside too. He had a pool hall, and I called him like, yo, we gonna meet up. I found the spot. We gonna meet up in the Bronx. So first there was a game at the Gaucho Gym. We went to the game at the Gaucho Gym. Then we all headed over there, snapping and all that. And they brought DMX. I didn't know he was bringing DMX, but Jay was with us. So the battle really wasn't supposed to be between Jay and DMX. They just was both there. And you know, DNY was there, and Big L was taping it. The battle, I had him taping it. I gave him a camera and all that to tape it. And I mess with him to this day, was like, oh, our shit's not copywritten, so he wouldn't let me tape them. So I taped my side of it. And, you know, motherfuckers pulled out guns back and forth on tables and shit. And then finally they got on the table and they went at it. And it was a great battle. Legendary.
Damn. Man, that would have been crazy.
I had on the yellow Pelly. I had the bass Yankee bass. I remember what I had on. Quicker hairline I had at that time. You know? It's in the beginning of Backstage. The crazy thing is Big L shot that footage. That's what's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah.
All Jay's half of the battle you guys do have.
I gotta find that shit, yeah.
That's crazy. And Big L, man, you know, he was a part of a lot of stuff back then. Like, I know him and Fat Joe were really tight, and, you know, they had their thing going on, and, you know, how'd you meet Big L and, you know, work with him?
He was from 139th Street. And, you know, I used to be on 41st and 142nd. So we kind of knew each other before the rap, and when we all started to get into the rap, it just, you know, I was trying to help. And then it was like Cam and Bloodshed and him and Mace. And it was, the group was supposed to, damn, I just forgot the name of what that group was supposed to be. Children of the Corn. And, you know, they were younger than me. Not Big L so much, but like Cam and them. But it was just more of a Harlem thing. It was a block thing. We knew each other from the block.
A lot of talent comes out of Harlem.
Harlem is the originator of damn near everything. Everybody copies Harlem in New York. Everybody copies New York in the rest of the country. And everybody copies the country, you know. But it all starts with Harlem. You know what I mean? For black culture, I would say fashion, a lot of that shit being like London and shit.
You mentioned the struggle of not being able to get a deal, you know, and you guys decided to make your own record deal or your own record label. You know, at that point in time, there wasn't a lot of people who have done it. How hard was it to get everything off the ground at the beginning, or was it easy? Did it just come natural?
Just having fun, man. It was just like kamikaze. We were kids. Think about, most kids are playing video games, running around hustling and shooting. I'm doing the shit that you're dreaming about doing, and having the courage to do it and the confidence. So I just always looked at myself as, no matter what, whether we made money or not, the experience, because it was at a professional level so young, it was like a party. My whole life has been a party. You know, like, you know, I talk to the people around me a lot, and I'm like, I can't even believe I can't be 53, because I didn't think that you could have this much fun for your whole life. Like, my whole adult life, I don't know no other life. I started being famous at 19 just for being a businessman. You know what I mean? And then, like, I think about why I'm so popular, because businessmen aren't this popular. People hold me by the same standard as a rapper. They want me to have the same money as a rapper, the same girls, the same houses, and the same cars. But I'm a businessman. It's because I was so young. You know, I was like Justin Bieber of fucking business, but I wasn't no pop star. I was a rock star businessman. No disrespect to Justin Bieber. Can you imagine? What was that? Oh, can you hold on? Let me get that. So this is my OG Daniel, and he just came from BET. Hold on. Yo. Yo, everything cool? All right, I'm gonna call you right back, Daniel. I'm doing the Capone thing. All right. So, do you know how elated that makes me feel that my original crew is up in Paramount and BET doing interviews, and the fact that like I get to showcase who I am and where I came from the people that protected me and guided me through this journey, and I got to give them that they could be celebrities on their own terms. And how everybody probably knocked them and was like, what's Dame doing and how long is it going to take? But they're all there celebrating. I'm here. It just makes me happy. And it's the only way you could have this kind of relation is to do shit independently on your own, and you got to be good at what you do. You understand what I'm saying? But that's the team I grew up with. That person that just spoke to me is the first person that hit me with a pack. Pause. And we still cool like that, and now he's a movie star. Think about that. That's what I did. You know how Michael Corleone wanted to clean the family up? You know, that was me. But I did it by the time I was 20. You understand what I'm saying? I saw what was going on and I said, this isn't sustainable for my family. And I had to change the course and the trajectory of my generation and generations to follow. And I dealt with it myself, and I'm still dealing with it. So a win for me is a win for we. Anybody that's honorable.
I hear that, man.
It's like they had Lou on there. Like Lou just came home from doing 27 years. You think he was going straight to a studio to talk about a movie that was based on certain parts of his own life?
Okay, so wait. Okay, this is your homeboy. He just came home from prison?
Yeah. Well, Daniel didn't, but Lou did. But they all, you know, while I was shooting Honor Up, Lou was in jail, so Styles P played him. But Daniel was able to play himself. He plays Primo.
Man, that's what's up, bro. Man, I know that's gotta feel good. Your homie come home from that much time to be able to just put him in position to really do good, man. That's dope.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had more financial where I could just, but what I can give is opportunity, exposure, and also an experience that, you know, people just dream of, that you know, that they watch people on TV do. It's like, that's the shit you heard about. You get to do it, but you get to do it on our terms. My crew.
Yeah.
That's my crew.
Yeah, man.
Harlem sticks together.
When was like the first moment you had where you were like, yo, this is really getting crazy? Like this is really taking off for me?
Probably Ain't No Nigga, when Ain't No Nigga hit the radio. But it was always, like I said, I was on the road. I went right, I've been just rock star the whole time. Like it went from like the street to just with Clark Kent, and he made sure I went everywhere. And then from then, it just never stopped. So it was just, I never had that point, and I still don't have that point because I don't got the money I want. I'm still hustling for, you know, I never made enough money to look at ever. And I don't trust money sitting there by itself. That shit gonna evaporate. It becomes a target. So I'm always investing in it until it's something that's just gonna kick back residual income forever.
Okay, ain't no drops, and which is a crazy hit, you know, and the album comes out. You guys are fully independent this time, you know.
When Reasonable Doubt came out,
yeah,
I think we put that one out with priority. We had distribution, but it was still we had already paid for it and did everything. Yeah.
And during the making of this, you know, Biggie is in the video. Which at that point, you know, Pac and Biggie, well, Pac was going at Biggie, and Biggie didn't really, you know, want no issues, from what I understand. You know, and you guys got dragged into that situation, man. What was that like for you at that point in time? You know, like, what was going on when you guys heard Tupac dissing you guys?
I mean, Jay wrote a record, and, you know, we tried to step to Tupac in at the MTV Music Awards. It was the same awards where he had the walkie-talkies and the big jury. So me and Jay went, and we could only get tickets for ourselves. And I remember Jay gave me a razor blade. You know, Brooklyn niggas cut niggas and shit, and I didn't know how. But he was like, yo, you know, we get into it, no matter how big they are, just cut them in the face, they'll stop. And I was like, okay, that'll work. And we would go to his seat, in between the commercials, but he was running around fronting on everybody. Like, I remember Buster running up to me and saying that he had just pulled the gun on Nas, or a bunch of shit was going on. So then we ended up running into Suge, and we had a quick conversation, and Eric B and Ed Lover were there, and they just sort of like, because Jay was just like, yo, do you like do you know me, or like my name is Jay-Z, and Suge was like, I don't know you, and then they kind of broke it up. We went to the bathroom. It wasn't like a big deal or nothing, but we made a record about him. And then he died, but Jay still wanted to perform the record. We performed it at the Apollo, and I guess the Pac was on Priority as well at the time. So all the Priority people were there, and he did this record, Dead or Alive, and it's not taped anywhere. And then Biggie came out, and we did Brooklyn's Finest, and that shit was shaking. But I never really took. In that moment, I didn't take rap beef so serious. I thought it was ridiculous for people to be beefing over rap. I always thought that was stupid, and I never thought that it could go that far. But it ultimately ended up, and that's what shocked me, because I was like, niggas will kill each other over records? This shit don't make no sense. We out the game. So, I just looked at it. Like, again, it's like we were so confident in who we were and what we had the ability to do on so many levels that we didn't care about smoke. Like, we was damn near looking for it. You know what I mean? It might not have been the wisest approach. I may not approach it like that now as an adult or an older person. But, think about just being, like, young and what you consider rich, because you used to be broke and you got a couple of $1 million, and the whole world is listening to you. Adults are listening to you. Older people are kissing your ass. You feel invincible. You know what I'm saying? As a kid, you feel invincible anyway. Imagine how invincible I felt. Like, look at the gear I got on. It's Anunnaki, right? Like, all this time, I started kicking it with Billy Carson, and I'm hearing about the tall whiteys and the grays and all these different races of aliens, and I'm like, yo, it ain't no black aliens either? Like, come on, knock it off. And what came to find out is there's actually, the Anunnakis, the original Anunnakis are supposed to be black. So I'm like, damn, no wonder. I really believe I'm an Anunnaki. I'm probably like, because what they say, the Anunnakis came down and started messing with the earth women and fell in love with them, and that's how they made the giants. And it probably, I just feel like I'm part of that bloodline. I'm not from this planet. I'm different.
Now, what made you guys not put the diss record out and only perform it the one time?
I don't know. I forgot. Probably because he died. Like, it might have been a little bit out of line back then to even do it that, but like, I remember homie was like, fuck that. We doing it. I said, all right, let's go. Like, at the time, I was down for anything. I didn't care. I was reckless at the time. Like, I did so much when I was young that it would be stupid for me to get out of line now, because it's like, I did everything. I ain't got shit to prove, and, as an older dude doing certain things, you look stupid. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm 53, B. I ain't doing nothing but chilling, but I'm ready. You know what I mean?
And then you guys started being more positive towards Tupac, right? Like, you guys started shouting him out at shows and everything.
I don't remember none of that.
Okay.
It probably was around the time when I got off tour. After Hard Knock Life, I was out. But I don't know. Maybe, probably. It was probably something for the show to pay homage to. Oh, yeah, we were. It was like, it would be like we play Biggie, then we play Pac. We had no beef with the West Coast ever. I never had beef with. I was so mad because I loved going to the West Coast. So I'm not on that shit. That shit is stupid to me. They don't do that shit in rock and roll. Why the fuck would they do that in hip hop? Just because you from a certain place, I'm not going to like you? That's dumb. And that's a tool used to divide us. Very strategic for us to start offering each other, doing that work for them, and they laugh at us. It's a stupid mentality. I don't buy into that because everyone else did or does. I just was never on that type of time.
Was that your guys' only time running into Suge and Pac, or just Suge?
For me, I know we ran into Suge every now and again, like at a award show or two, but it wasn't nothing major. You know what I mean? Like, I used to hear that he used to lean on Jay here and there, but I didn't see it.
Okay. How did you guys first meet Biggie? Besides them both being from Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? Like, where did all this, how did that all that come together?
Clark Kent. I think Clark used to be his DJ. So I think it was Clark. I don't quite remember, but I think logically I would think it was Clark.
And who put them in the studio for the first time? Was that him too?
Well, that was us. That was me trying to get us to do a record together. That was one of my issues with Puff because we did Brooklyn's Finest and Puff wouldn't clear the video. But, that was the thing. Like, what we did was, so what happened is Biggie came to the set for Politics as usual, right? No, not Politics, whatever it was. And we did this thing. Not Ain't No, it was the one before that. Dead Presidents, right? And our thing was we always wanted to do something Big Willie in the videos. We had meetings about it, and we, decided to do Monopoly with real money. So we bought like $100,000 out, a bunch of bread, and we had a bunch of fucking champagne. And this is my first time meeting Biggie. Finally, he comes through, and we get into a drinking competition. And if you look at the video, all those bottles is me and him just going shot for shot. But he's a lot bigger than me, and I ended up too drunk. And, the next day, Jay and Biggs, I spoke to them, and they said I played myself and was like, yo, I'm your fan, like what kind of dumb shit. So the next day I went to Daddy's house, and I booked them to perform so that Jay could open up for him in New Orleans. And that was my motto, was I was trying to get, us to be able to perform in front of bigger crowds by hiring a bigger artist. You know what I'm saying? And we just wanted to do business with Biggie. Like, their crews were very similar to our crew in the sense that we like to make jokes a lot. We both have funny crews, and like D-Rock and C's and all of them. We got like, I still to this day consider all of them my brothers. Like, when I see them, there's this camaraderie that we have and a brotherhood because we had genuine hip hop fun. So me and Biggie used to have drinking competitions. We go Stink Mink Gators, my Detroit players. They call it a Stink Mink because me and him were having a drink off, in at Bobby Brown's birthday party. To the extent that Puff was trying to get him to come to the stage, and Big was like, hell nah. And this time when I got drunk, I knew to go behind the curtain and throw up. So I threw up, and he ended up throwing up all over his mink. So they called it, that's when D-Rock, all the niggas started calling it a Stink Mink, because he threw up on his mink, and I'm the one that made him throw up on his mink. So, he was the only person, Biggie was the only person that I would smoke with. I didn't used to smoke. So he would drink with me and then like I remember I would smoke with him and Ain't No Nigga, and he just smoked like 60 blunts at a time. C's would roll up, they wouldn't even start until they had 60 blunts rolled up. Literally. And I'd be like, how high do you want to get? And he'd go like this, so I don't feel nothing. Pause.
Damn. There's always been the rumors that Jay and Big were going to do the album The Commission.
That's not a rumor, that's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, how close did that come? And, was that in the process of becoming real?
From what I remember, he was going to he did that double album, then he was going to do a triple album, and he was going to come with us. He was going to knock it out real fast, but then he died. But yeah, that was going to happen. We had never really found that Charlie Baltimore, but we was looking, and then, that ended up being his girl.
Now, you guys were going to shoot a video for Brooklyn's Finest?
I wanted to. Puff wouldn't clear it.
Puff wouldn't clear it. Damn. Man, that'd have been crazy, man.
Trust me, I know. I produced that. I produced that record with Clark. So if you look at it says, produced by Dane Dad. Co-produced.
Yeah, it's a dope record, man. I mean, at this point, you guys are the biggest thing in hip hop. What's like a day for Dame Dash while running, Rocafella at the time?
At what point? Because then it was rockwear, so I was focusing on stimulating the other ancillary verticals. So I was starting new businesses. So I was, producing Paid in Full. I was running Rockwear. I was trying to make the Rock Box a fucking iPad, iPod. I was doing State Property. To me, it was I never trusted, because we never sold a lot of records like people think. Hard Knock Life did $5 million, but everything else was like, we never had that cash flow, enough money for me to be comfortable. So I was always trying to just start other companies, running around the world, just trying to like expand our footprint. I was more focused on getting money in Europe. I just felt like if you were famous in America, it made you, 10 times more famous in Europe. And that's the money I wanted. So I'm making, like, if you look at American New, you'll see like International Grizzly. It's like everyone was so mad that I was starting businesses and having so much fun doing it. And because people couldn't conceptualize what I was doing, they wouldn't go to the party till after it was over. I was like, I told you it was going to be dope, but you didn't want to listen, because I'm in the future and you in the past.
How much money would it take to make Dame Dash comfortable?
Like to look at?
Or to have coming in?
It depends. It's like if I'm investing in, like, I already know after I flip this company what I want to put my money into. So it depends on if I have the resources to make, like, I'm always dreaming. If you're not dreaming, you're like dead. I don't even know how anyone could live without a dream. If I'm not inspired every day, I don't see what the purpose of living is. So once one dream comes true, I have to dream bigger. And I'm a guy that makes my dreams come true. That's why I give myself a lot to work with. This network and all the other things I'm trying to do is taking a good amount of my time. So, I don't know. I think like in any moment, if someone gave me $20 million and all my taxes and I have no debt or anything like that, I would be concerned, but I wouldn't be unhappy. You know what I'm saying? But I would be like, I got to keep working. And if I got 20 million and I'm trying to do things, I know probably half of that would probably go to business. And then the other 10 would be buying some shit I shouldn't be buying. And then, the expense of maintaining the things you buy is what kills you. It's not the purchase, it's the maintaining of the purchase. Like a mortgage, or you buy a jet or a yacht, like having more than one house. It's like all that shit is a pain in the ass. Like the more shit you buy, the more shit you got to take care of.
Right. The more property taxes, insurance. And
keeping gas on in places that are cold, cars in every spot. You know what I mean? Furniture, silverware, everything. Like you just have to have a house full, a stack in one house. And a house is a business within itself. The shit's always breaking. There's always something fucking wrong with a big ass building. No matter what. The pool, something. It's always something. It's always something with a house. It's like a big ass money suck.
Well, you guys do start Rockawear. And, where does that come from? Because at that point in time, there wasn't a lot of rappers doing. I don't know. You guys might have been the first to do their own.
I'm not a rapper. I just had a rapper that was my partner so that I could leverage his celebrity. But these were my ideas. These were my ambitions. I didn't have ambitions of an artist. I had ambitions of a businessman, and I still do. But that was always going to be a vertical because I'm fresh. Because I don't think Ralph Lauren is flyer than me or Ralph Lipschitz. And I went and studied the art of it. So, I know it on every level. So I didn't consider Rockwear fashion. I considered Rachel Roy fashion. I had to get, that's a designer line, and it was, I had an artillery, and she never designed in her life. It was supposed to be called Muse, but I couldn't clear the name, and I said, I'm gonna just put your name on it, and that was the worst thing I ever did, but maybe the best. But, I don't know what year I started Rockwear, but I had tried in the offices at John Street. I had bought a bunch of sewing machines, not knowing shit about the business, and, and Emery paid for the sewing machines, too. And then he never got a piece of Rockwear, which was fucked up. I forgot about the deal when he was in jail.
Were you guys trying to get paid from wearing other people's clothes?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point.
I went to we were in Iceberg and Jope and all that. And we went to Iceberg because the salesperson knew who we were. I don't know why she made this meeting. But we had a meeting with them. I told them we want to do a campaign. They said no. I told them to give us free clothes. They said no, we have a sample sale. And I said, fuck you. And I went and started Rockwear. And I went to these Russians, Alex and Norton. And I was trying to get some leathers made. And they were making woo wear at the time. And I was like, yo, get with me. I could do Rockwear. I'm about to go on tour. Make me some samples and, blah, blah, blah. And that's what we did.
Now, from what I understand, Biggs wasn't part of Rocawear?
Nah.
Is there a reason, or?
He didn't do nothing. Biggs had put up the money for... I mean, in hindsight, if I was Biggs, I'd have been like, yo, I should be a part of this and made it clear. But it wasn't like he was supposed to be a part of everything we did. Because it was like Emery was supposed to be a part of Rockwear. It wasn't big. It was like we gave everybody in the crew the chance to invest in a vertical. And, Biggs did the biggest investment. But I would have... That's why, if we would have called it Rocafella Clothes, then he would have been entitled to it. It was like, something different. But in hindsight, I think, like, Biggs could have made a point and had a valid argument if he would have been like, yo, I should get a part of that.
What's the vertical? What do you mean by that?
A vertical is like, it's like, so if I have, let's say an album, the clothing line or the merch is a vertical. The documentary is a vertical. The movie is a vertical. The touring is a vertical. It's the other business that are created by that initial business.
Oh, okay. So he could have made an argument that he deserves something of it. Okay.
He could have, but it was called Rockwear. If it was called Rocafella, then yeah. But again, Biggs to me was treated completely unfairly. The breakup of Rocafella happened because of Biggs. And it's because Jay didn't want Biggs around no more. And I said, well, we could start like we were going to do Dynasty Records, but we got to keep Rockwear between us three. But, I just couldn't do it. But it's so funny how things turned out. Like now he's up under him like he is.
Why wouldn't Jay have wanted Biggs around? Is there a reason? Like he wasn't doing his job or something?
Like Biggs had done his job. He put the bread up. But after that, it wasn't no need for him. We didn't need the money no more. So he just felt like he was, I don't know, man. Jay, look how he does his business, bro. Look how, Jay, Biggs don't sit at the table with them. He sits at the kids' table. And that shit is embarrassing. I would be embarrassed if I was Biggs. Like, I think they humiliate Biggs on purpose. It's like a humiliation ritual they doing with him, it look like.
Damn, okay.
Like how you go from a partner to being like, not even in the third person, you know what I mean? It's like, I wouldn't do that. It's just too demeaning and I got too much pride and I'm from Harlem.
How much was Biggs around during Rocafella?
He was around. Like he was there. But like work wise, like he was around a lot for Kanye. Like he was the one that was pushing like a lot for Kanye. Cause that was after Biggs had made that, Jay had made that move on us. And what happened was, we had this OG Deuce and we talked Deuce like kind of was like, that ain't no good. And I think the resolution was cause he was, he was doing the R. Kelly shit. And I was like, I don't want none of that money anyway. So you keep that. And then after like Deuce died the year later, like him and Biggs weren't speaking for like 2 years, and no one knew it but me. So yeah. So Biggs just started to kick it with me more. And Jay, I didn't really hang out with Jay like that. Like I hung out with girls. I didn't want to be around niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why everybody kind of like felt the way. Because I just didn't want to be around them. I didn't think it was cool to go to the club with a bunch of dudes. I went to the club by myself and left with, friends that I met there or that I knew that were going to be there. But, like, rolling with dudes, like, you can't get no girls when you got 5 dudes with you. They're scared. Everybody's putting pressure on them. You know how hard it is to get 5 dudes in a club, a table. Now you got 5 dudes at your table. I don't like dudes like that. I don't need them.
How did you run across Kanye? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did you guys get introduced and how did all that come about?
Hip hop had a beat tape, 2 beat tapes, one Just Blaze, one Kanye. And, I liked the beats and then I gave him to Jay and then Jay wrote to him. And then, the rest was history. He was around.
How did he officially become on Rocafella?
He had a record deal. So once he did all these records for us, my thing was, as a producer, if you did like a album, all the artists on Rocafella, it'd be a compilation, like a mixtape, like a clue tape. So I knew I could go gold no matter what. So that was always our deal. When I found out he was trying to get a deal at Capitol, I was already going dead. I was just waiting to see it through. We had already made a verbal commitment to one another. But Jay wouldn't. The problem was Jay wouldn't sign off on his fucking budget. I would get so much blame because at Rocafella, me, Biggs, and Jay used to have to sign the budgets. So if he wouldn't sign, I couldn't tell an artist that Jay didn't like him because it would break their heart. So he wouldn't sign off on Kanye's budget. He wouldn't sign off on Cameron's budget. He wouldn't. That's why I had to let Dipset go to Koch, because I couldn't get him to sign off. And I was like, man, go ahead. Don't even worry about it. I'm not playing these games. I didn't give a fuck.
I mean, is there a reason why he wouldn't sign off on the budget? He didn't believe in the project?
He didn't want me to sign Kanye. He didn't want me to sign Joe Buttons. He didn't want me to sign Nori. He didn't want me to sign those people. So we had a vote, and he voted no, but me and Biggs voted yes.
Damn. Okay. And Kanye becomes official Rocafella. I think I seen the video where you give him a chain.
Right. I had to take.
You guys were in Chicago.
I took it off my neck. If you notice, I had to take that chain because Jay wouldn't. That's why when he gives chains now, it's funny to me because he would never give an artist a chain. I always had to give him my chains off my neck. I'd be like, yo, give him a chain, and on the stage, like, you give it to him. Like, he used to be, it is what it is. I don't like talking about homies so much because everybody makes, there's like these bots that fucking say I'm talking about them all day, even though it's a part of my own history. But, it is what it is. The truth is the truth.
You were one of the, first people to really believe in Kanye, from what I understand. Like, you really, you went hard for Kanye.
I went hard for all my artists. Kanye just took advantage of it the most. You know what I mean? Like, he just ran with it. I didn't expect him to be that guy. When he started to get going, again, Biggs is the one that really brought it to my attention. I was like, yo, he's rolling. And I started to, no one's going to out-hustle me. Like, I'm not going to fight harder for you than you fight for yourself. But Kanye used to fight for himself, so I used to fight with him. Did
you always know he was a rapper, or when did his rapping come in?
I still don't recognize him as a rapper. I think he's the best producer that could rap, but I could never say he's a rapper first. I can't unsee him as a producer first.
Okay, when did you real you know what I'm saying? See
okay. When he crashed when he was in the crash, I sent him his equipment in L.A. because he couldn't fly, and he came back with an album, and that's because he was always trying to rap. We just never would listen to him. Like he walk in a room with Beanie Siegel, Cameron, and Jay-Z, and nobody want to hear that shit. So we never gave him no burn as a rapper. I never gave him no burn as a rapper. He was a producer to me that could rap.
Okay.
And he was more like Dr. Dre to me. You know what I mean?
Okay, and he comes back with these records, and what's your thoughts when you hear him?
It was that he had made the video and he was walking around with cameras like Hootie and Shike, like how I was doing it. Like he was just emulating a lot of what I was doing. I just liked that he would fight. He didn't give a fuck. He had a lot of motion going on. Pause.
Okay. How are you and Kanye today? Do you guys still have a relationship today?
I haven't spoke to him since the Hitler shit. You know what I mean? But when he was, I was spending a lot of time with Kanye, but people didn't know.
Okay.
When he was running for president, he was on the ranch for 14 days. I was like, he wanted me to be the CEO, and I was like, I didn't really want to be the CEO, but I thought he was going to hurt himself, so I went up there. We made movies, we made albums, we made clothing lines, we did a lot of shit, campaigns. I've always given, for a good amount of years, I was giving him some advice, a lot of advice.
Okay. Now, I know you got a lot of projects going on. What is some of the biggest things that you're working on or you got going on?
Well, America Knew, the television network, getting these movies I directed and produced on linear television, the clothing line, the books and the curriculum that we made, and Dusko Goes to Space, sold 60,000 books already. I guess they're all equally big, The biggest thing I got is bills.
You know, here's one thing I don't think anybody really pointed out. They said you were $8 million in debt, but I was thinking like you had to have made a whole bunch of money to be that. You know what I'm saying? Like you had to make millions of dollars.
When do people talk about people's tax problems? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, the state stepped up for a $2 million tax. It was $8 million with interest. I owed like 16. You know how much taxes it was? Yeah, I had accountants that I was paying millions of dollars a year that did not pay my taxes without me knowing. And the problem with the law is the accountant is not accountable. They literally, it's been several times that accountants have told me they paid my taxes and didn't. It's like they slipped the banana in the tailpipe. And by the time you realize that they didn't do what they said they're going to do, you're out of bread and you don't have enough money to get lawyered up. So, you know, it's like, yo, my last $100,000, you think I'm spending that shit on a lawyer? I got to get back on and then I'll get back to you. So, you know, Barry Claberg was my accountant. So when you hear that I didn't pay my taxes the year I made so much money, then you should say, what was his accountant doing? And how come his accountant is not accountable? And that's where they take advantage of younger first-generation kids in the music business, because Barry Claberg has been in the business. He knows the game. He knows the drill. They notice, let me drain him and spend all his bread and not pay his taxes or put his money to the side quarterly or do side deals, because that's what he did with Rock, where he took $1 million off my deal. I didn't even know it. You know? Like, you know, they do you dirty. And, you know, I'm from the street. Now, he should have ended up in a trunk. And that's the test, when I pushed that button. But I could never do that. But it definitely aggravates you to say street rules, you be dead. Period. So there's a lot of that shit that goes on, and that's why you have to get therapy, because you have to internalize things that you used to be able to act on. But nobody wants to go to court for 3 years over some bullshit.
That's what I don't understand, man. Like, I hear these, like, nightmares about these accountants ripping people off. Like, I mean, I remember I seen a video where Steve Harvey was talking about, he had, like, I want to say it was like 20-something million or $15 million, because
I want to talk to
year,
I want to talk to my congressman about making legislation, or a congressman that I know and that I'm close to that's down with the commission, to try to get laws that protect artists, or at least make an accountant or a lawyer somewhat accountable when they give you the wrong advice. It's just not fair. But that's how I got jammed up. Like every time I've gotten jammed up, it's from people cheating. I just wear it. But it's never been a fair fight. Like, everyone actually goes out their way to fuck my shit up. It's not like it just happens. It's people I trust get influenced by other people, and then they do things like a double agent, and they do shit on the purpose. Pause it. The banana, and even down to my child support. Like, the child support, I had it on cruise control. The money went into the account, Rachel Roy's account. She's the manager of the company. It's her job to pay herself her child support and to pay my other child support and then give me the money that's left. She didn't pay the child support. So that's how I got jammed up. I didn't know. I'm like, the money, why? How come you didn't pay the child support? I lose my standing in the company, so I can't sue her. And by the time I get to court, they push my shit to auction. And now I could never get her back for it. And she's the one that bought it. I'd be like, this shit is crazy. So, you know, if I was so concerned about my ability to get on and I couldn't find the bright side of things, like the fact that at least my daughters are all right, you know, I'd probably approach things a lot different. I'm just too good at starting another block. It's almost like it's less of a headache to say keep that shit and I start over than to fight over some bullshit that I'm not inspired by anymore. I'd just rather be inspired. Just take it. Fuck the money. I want to be happy. Like, I'm too much of an artist. I thought it was about money, but it was more about my peace.
It's crazy, man. To hear all that, man, and to know this happens to a lot of people, bro, I'll be watching my shit like a hawk, man. I'm like, I pay my taxes myself. I don't let no accountant pay my taxes, bro. Too
much money comes through for me to even look at it, bro. I stopped counting money in the motherfucking like 99. It just doesn't matter. I feel the same no matter what's in the bank. I don't want to know what's in the bank.
I wanted to ask you about, man, one of the biggest battles in hip hop, man. Nas and Jay-Z. He mentioned you in the record.
I was honored.
In the Ether record, man.
That was fly. I fuck with him for saying my name.
Yeah. So you weren't mad about it at all.
I'm gonna be mad if a legend says my name. That I'm on a legend. Like, again, maybe not at all. I don't know. Like shit. I don't know. Like, things don't bother me. Like, people talk about me. I snap a lot. I'm a funny guy, and especially like the shit that he said. He's like, Dame Dummy. Like, that means he thinks I'm smart. Like, I'm that much of a threat that he has to put me in the rap. So I thought that was dope. Like, any mention of my name. See, I'm one of those that's probably also more addicted to dopamine than I know. I don't really give a fuck. I feel good when people say my name, even when it's in bad or good. It's just say my name. I don't let that bother me. To be a celebrity and to care what people say about you is an oxymoron. You just can't care. Like, I talk to artists and they care about a lot of things. I'm like, that's not going to work out for you. Worrying about people's opinions you don't know. You'll be tortured. Like, there's really, really mega famous people I know that their day is dictated by how they're perceived in the newspaper. I'm like, you're really crying over this? They said you was dope yesterday, and, it's just never going to be all good. It just doesn't work out like that. No one's perfect, and we're all human. I don't give a fuck what someone that hasn't done shit got to say about me. I really don't. I've tried to give a fuck. I just can't.
Besides him mentioning your name, like, being that this was like a pretty big record and, a response to Takeover, were you guys, like, was anybody mad about the situation? Like,
obviously,
what was
Jay was mad.
like?
Jay was mad, obviously. I didn't know he was that mad, but that bum-ass response was terrible. So, he got him in his feelings. He really did hit him with the ether. Nas won that battle. That part of the battle.
Do you feel like if Jay would have just stuck with Takeover and not responded, things would have been better?
I felt like if Jay didn't listen to Irv while I was, on a business trip to fucking shooting a Rockwear campaign, I would have never allowed that to happen. It was just the record was whack. It was just against our principles. He was talking about another man and all this other shit. Like, I was tight when I heard it on the radio. I had just flew in on a jet, and I'm listening to the shit on the radio, and I'm like, yo, take me to the bass line. And I went in there flipping. I was tight. I was never happy about that response, and even what came after the response. And then I even had to go step to Irv like, yo, stay out of my business, man. You're not a general like that. You're not a wartime general. It just wasn't for him. Like you see, he couldn't, he's not that good at that.
Where did the whole Jay and Nas thing, because, I mean, I did my research the best I could.
Akinelli did it, I think. Akinelli was like the OG from Queens, and we all really started together. Me, like, Ak had that pause, put it in your mouth record, and he was always like generous about letting us perform, or if we had a show, we'd let him perform. And we used to joke, and when we was rolling, we were on the phone one day, and he was like, I'm not going to just let y'all take over. I'm going to start a beef. And he did. I knew it. As soon as it happened, I was like, that was Ak. But it was like, it wasn't meant to go that far, I don't think. I mean, it didn't go far at all. It was just records. Rap is supposed to be war. It's warriors. It's supposed to be a battle. It's part of the game. Like, you're not supposed to win every game. You're supposed to fight every game. Take L's, you win some, you lose some. It's part of fighting. You think you're going to be a boxer and never get punched? You think you're going to be a football player and never get tackled? You think you're going to be a hockey player and never have a fight? That life doesn't exist. It's just like thinking you're going to have a perfect life if you have money. I don't know anyone in the world, whether they rich, poor, or whatever, that's had a perfect life. It does not exist. Life, you're meant to be tested every day, and it's about how you react to things. But everyone has the same kind of emotions, and they all get triggered. It's just different things trigger different people. Like, in life, we're meant to have problems. If you sit around and do nothing, God's going to give you problems. But if you could choose your problems by dreaming and fight for them and let those be your problems, those are more fun problems to have, is the ones where you're fighting for something you love. Other than because you're not doing shit and you're fucking concerned about what everybody thinks and you're feeling sorry for yourself and all this type of thing, God gives you more shit that you don't enjoy. It's always going to be a test. It's never going to be perfect. Looking for a perfect life is like, it just, you'll never be happy.
I hear that. Man. How did Akinelli, like, how was he able to do that?
He was from Queens. Like, if you ask Nas, or you ask, or if you ask Nas or Nori, it was Left Rack. They were from Left Rack, and he was the first person with a big deal. So, he was like the OG, and he just stirred up the pot.
Okay, because I mean, even doing my research, it was like there was little shots.
If you could get Ak, ask Ak. He started that beef. Akinelli did it. I stand on that. Last time I saw Ak, he got the strip club, and I was like, yo, I know you started that shit. He just laughing.
Interesting. Okay.
You'd be surprised where problems come from. But again, it wasn't ever a real problem. It wasn't like, again, people wanting to hurt another person over something they said is so stupid to me. It's like actions are what you got to deal with, not words.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. That's real shit, man.
Like, if you hustling on a block and you got to preserve or protect a piece of concrete, and if somebody says certain things and if you don't deal with it, then everyone robs you or picks on you, that's one thing. But when we out the street, words, sticks, and stones, man. Pause, but words ain't going to bother me.
How mad were you when Jay did do the Super Ugly record?
I was tight.
You were mad.
I was even madder when he was on the radio talking about his mother told him to apologize. I was sick. It wasn't a good look to me.
Damn. Okay. I seen in a video that Jaz-O was accused of leaking information to Nas.
That was Jay's camp. I ain't know nothing about the Brooklyn shit. That was all their stuff. I ain't nothing to do with that. I don't remember none of that.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Besides, all the negative stuff going in hip hop today, what do you think about, the current artist and everything that's going on?
I mean, I'm 53, so I don't think it's really like for me to have so many opinions on what's going on the concrete, because I'm not on the concrete. But I think there's the ability. I love when like artists are being more creative and just giving more than just an album, and they're giving an experience. So I think the more creativity in hip hop, the better. I like that there's this movement of lyricists that are coming back. I'm happy with, I think like guys like Griselda and them have opened the doors for guys like Graf and for people to appreciate lyrics again. I'm happy about that.
Right, because it did seem like at one point, like lyrics, well, I mean, even now, it was more of like, the music was not really about the lyrics. It was definitely more about like a lot of melodies and, rapping with auto-tune and everything.
Yeah, again, I'm not that guy that like be like, oh, I hate where music's at. I don't think it'll ever be, and I think like anyone that has been relevant at any time will probably think that their day was the best day and that there'll never be those kind of days recreated. So it's kind of hard to like, my generation was Nas, Biggie, Jay, Pac, Death Row. Wu-Tang. It's gonna be hard to compete with that era, no matter what. That's why it's hard for me to go out. Like, when I went out, there was no social media. There was no reality shows. You really had money couldn't get you in the club. You had to be cool. And just because, almost like I fucked shit up by doing this thing with the champagne, because we kind of created bottle service, or people starting to do that. After bottle service, reality shows, and social media, it got trash out to me. But that's just me, because I was there when it was about being cool. You had to be really good at something. Money didn't buy popularity so much. You really had to have that swag to be social.
Are there any artists out there that you had a chance to sign or that you might have passed on that you wish you would have signed?
Nah, because every artist that I passed on, and a lot of them have been mega, I just didn't feel like the headache of running behind them. It's just not what I want to do. I'm a full-grown heterosexual man. Me calling another dude all day and asking what he wants all day and being subservient to him all day, it just fucks with me. I can't do it. You know, it's like, yo, you're a dude, man. I give a woman all the attention in the world, but dudes don't inspire me, man. You know, they just don't. The only reason to fuck with a dude is if he could do something for you, or, you know, if he's going to bring something to the table. But other than that, I'm not particularly inspired by dudes. Not at all.
Okay.
They all end up wanting to be me. And it's hard. I could dig it. It's not the easiest thing being the coolest dude in the room.
Okay. I mean, okay, because I had seen that you passed, or I don't know if you passed, but Ludacris and Nelly's demo came your way.
I didn't pass on Ludacris's demo. I never got that. I knew Ludacris as a disc jockey, as a DJ, like a personality. It's actually still to this day, even though he's great with the raps, it's hard to unsee him as I first saw him. It really is for me. So I got to see a lot of people before they were famous. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's different. Nelly, it wasn't that I think Biggs passed on it. You know, one of the people, Trell from 40th, he passed, but he was trying to give the demo to Biggs, and Biggs never gave it to me. So Nelly, I wouldn't have mind having him on Rocafella. You know, during the Rocafella time. But, you know, like we could have signed Shine. He wanted to be signed, but I didn't, it wasn't nothing that I wasn't like, damn, we should have got Shine. I knew like somebody would probably get with him, but he was rapping too much at the time. Like he sounded too much like Jay. And then when he got with Bad Boy, he started to sound like Biggie. So, but I don't really live with regrets too much. You know?
Everything happens for a reason, I guess.
Basically.
Well, what do you think were like some of your best memories from the Rocafella days?
There was so many different versions of Rocafella. You know? But I think my favorite days was being with Aaliyah while I was on Rocafella. Those are my favorite days.
How did you guys meet?
Well, I had met her as Aaliyah at like a basketball game, but she was still to me like a little girl. And then, you know, with jerseys on. But then I saw her at we had the same bookkeeper, account Barry Clodberg. And I seen her, I didn't even know it was Aaliyah. I just was like, who's that? And, you know, we started kicking it. And, you know, we all hung out once. Like there was this photo shoot in LA with like Natani, Bijou, Phillips, Kadada, and Aaliyah, and it was called the It Girls because they were truly running the scene at the time. And I was there, and I was the first person that had the tennis diamond bracelet diamond chain. And you can see the picture. So I remember I had my red Nike Airs on, I had a red shirt on, and that chain, I was killing them. But we started talking about this book called The Seed of the Soul. And we all went to the bookstore after and bought the book and read it. And that's where our bond sort of like, that connection happened, from us kind of connecting our souls. Like, you know, we just felt like we were part of the same soul cluster and we're evolving at the same pace. And conversations got a lot different after that on my perspective on how I carried life. You know, it wasn't the conversations you would think like some hip-hop mogul was having. It was like gangster spiritual, you know. Seed of the soul, yeah.
Man, yeah, I know, man. Aaliyah was, man, super talented, man.
She was the illest.
Did you guys ever get to actually work together or do any music or anything on a business level?
Well, when she was in Miami, I had flew to Miami for her to work with Freeway, that was her favorite artist on Rocafella, and she was a team player. She was down, so she was shooting a video, and I had them in the house making an album, and we were about to do that record, and shit happened. So nah, I didn't get to do any. I got to advise her, but nah, I didn't get to do no music.
Damn. Okay. How long were you guys together?
Like 2 years. A year, 2 years. She was going for like a year shooting a movie for months. Like I would never choose to go out with a celebrity again because I got business to take care of and they got business to take care of, and it makes you not spend that much time, and they got to be around dudes a lot. That's why the women that I'm with, I always start businesses with them so that, we're working together. That's my business model when it comes to love. I always want to be in love for a living.
Okay. So it's hard dating a celebrity, especially someone like that that's, I mean, you know what I'm saying? She was like killing it at the time, man. She was, everywhere.
Yeah, you don't spend that much time with that person.
You're doing your thing, she's doing hers.
It's hard to just fly to Australia when you're shooting a movie in New York, to visit. Yeah. Oh, shit. I forgot to tell Ava I wasn't coming to New York. We might have to go tomorrow.
Now, you've been known to put a lot of people on. I believe I seen at one point, you even worked with Kevin Hart early in his career.
I discovered Kevin Hart. I took him off a stage and put him in the movie the next day. I discovered him.
What movie did you put him in?
Paper Soldiers.
Paper Soldiers.
It's his first movie.
Okay. What was it about Kevin Hart that you seen? Like how are you able to, see this talent so early in people?
I don't know. He made me laugh, and he was good at teasing himself. But yeah, he's in Death of a Dynasty. He actually plays Puff in Death of a Dynasty.
I don't think I've seen this movie or heard about it.
Go to America. Have you downloaded America New?
I haven't.
Can you do me a favor and download it real quick? It's free. Go to your app store. Just go to the app store, type in America, and type in NU.
America NU?
Yeah. It's funny how people think it's normal for somebody to have a television network. I got all the ad tech. I get the full CPM. I get the data. That's where all the genius is in this business. I got the ad servers, but people don't even understand that language. Like, people don't even know what a fast channel is. I don't have fast channels. I have fast channels, and I also give distribution of fast channels, like Tubi. You see that? And if you go, there's a children's section, and rather a children's page, Apple Fish. We broadcast live, all that.
Okay, I'm looking at it. Yeah, you guys got a lot of stuff going on here.
See that? So you can check Death of a Dynasty is on there. And, anything else I was talking about, my whole life is on there. And I directed the majority of shit up there.
Gotcha. Okay.
See what I mean?
Yep. All right. Well, Dame Dash, man, I appreciate you.
Thank you, bro.
Dope conversation, man. I look forward to what you got coming up, man. I respect your hustle. I love what you got going on, man. Want to see what you got coming up, man, for sure.
It's all good. Check it out. Make sure December 7th, this Saturday, 9 o'clock, watch On or Up. And I got some other announcements that I'll make coming very soon. But, it's going down. Appreciate you, bro.
right, appreciate you.
All right, holla.
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon, so hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.